Now, the other issue is energy, gasoline prices. I think my opponent wants to cut the speed limit down from 60 down to 60 or 55 miles an hour. And, I think I want to develop nuclear power. I think if you start building nuclear power plants, you're going to send a message to the Middle East that we're serious about solving our problems, and the price of oil will drop. I mean, the price of oil is probably twice as much as what it would cost to produce it. So there's a lot of fat left, even though it's under $100 today. Yeah, I think it could go significantly more if we sent a message to the Middle East, to the cartel, that we're serious about solving our energy problem. We're going to build 45 nuclear plants, and we're going to do it without any greenhouse emissions. That they would say, hey guys, we got to stop charging so much, or these guys are going to start producing oil and nuclear power, and we're not going to have any customers. So it's a debatable question whether the effect is immediate or not, because a lot of the Democrats would argue, well, even if you do it tomorrow, it's not going to have any effect. And well, I think psychological, when you say, hey, I'm serious and I'm going to invest umpteen $1 billion to solve the problem, it's a lot different than saying, well, one of these days we're going to start nuclear power.
Do you think that fundamentally one of the things on the power issue, that certainly the diversification that you've outlined is clearly the course of action that must be taken, and also the areas that in which we are rich in our own natural resources as it relates to the current usage of oil reserves, that we ought to certainly aggressively pursue that as well?
Well, I talked to Senator Orrin Hatch, who's from Utah, at the convention, and I grew up in Utah, so it was really funny. I went up to him and I said, Senator, I'm Greg Conlon, I'm running for Congress in California, and I'm from Tooele, Utah. And he looked at me and he said, God bless you. Because Tooele, Utah is a blue-collar town of about 5,000 or 10,000 people, and, it's not exactly the most best area in the state of Utah. But anyway, he was saying that the drilling leases in this country today, half of them are tied up with litigation from environmental lawsuits. And half of the budget for the Bureau of Land Management is strictly for litigation. So the litigation on those leases has at least taken half of those leases that everybody said the oil companies should be drilling on. They can't drill them because they're tied up in court. But the other thing is, the renewables, solar and wind, are two resources that California has led the way. When I was on the commission, we went from virtually no renewables to 11% of California's production were from renewables and alternative energy. So we led the country by, the next state was like 2 or 3%. So California has been the leader. And we will continue, I'm sure, under the governor today to require more of the same. But it's going to be like 20%. I think he's mandating 20 or 25. But the rest of the country is saying 15%. Well, I think we're already at 15%. So California's taken the lead. But renewables, both wind and solar, have to be pursued along with nuclear power. I don't want to preclude those. I want to do them all, so to speak.
Looking out to the future and people's concerns, I think one of the big topics is education, making sure that people who are here today and the children and next generations will have a really good opportunity to succeed in the future economy and future society. What do you say in this area?
Well, it's the most difficult issue. I think President Bush and Senator Kennedy developed this No Child Left Behind, and it's been criticized a lot by the teachers union and some of the parents. But it was an attempt to make sure that everyone did get an education and was not left behind. But the implementation has not been that successful, although it set a standard that a lot of children are meeting. And, we're in a global society. If you look at India and China, those two countries have developed their education process. There are 300 million people in China alone that have an education process equal to a college degree. And, that's more than we have in people in this country. So we're in a world market. We need to educate our children so we can survive. And it's a challenge. And I don't, I'm going on the board of a charter school over at Alameda, and I've spent about 15 years ago, I spent a year and a half helping the Alameda Unified School District develop a vision, and then my prior firm spent $1.5 million helping them to create this school for a one-room schoolhouse, if you will. And now 15 years later, it's in the top 8% of the schools in California. So we're trying to replicate it over there. I've been testifying in front of the school boards, and the district school board, the county school board have both denied it, but I think that we're going to go back in this fall and submit it again. And I'm optimistic that we will replicate that school. We've already got 250 to 300 students waiting to get in. And if we could replicate 400 students, bang, 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 because they're so successful. And it's, I'm not saying it's the only answer, but this model has been successful. And it's, I don't know that there is no silver bullet. It may be, I think the nurses, they solved their problem, and I think they did it with money. They created, the nurses now, I think, are getting so much, not so much money, but a lot of money to be nurses, and as a result, you've got a lot of people going into that nursing field. It's just like when I graduated from college. I mean, the guy, he said, if you want to be successful from a business standpoint, you got to be a CPA or a lawyer. Well, I mean, now they're saying that, if you want to be successful and you at a college education for sure, you need to be a nurse. So you got all these people going into nursing, but they're paying them. I don't know for sure, but I'm assuming they're paying them a lot more than teachers are getting.
Oh, absolutely.
I don't know that to be a fact, but I assume that's the case, or they wouldn't be so successful. So I think money will be certainly attractive. I mean, if you can attract kids to go into teaching as compared to going into accounting or law or something else, I mean, you're going to get them. I mean, it's not easy because it's very expensive.
Greg, as we wrap up, what are some of your final thoughts about some of the things that you'd like to do or you'd like our viewers to know and convey to those people that live in your district?
Well, I just know, I know one thing, that if I'm elected, I will not be a Tuesday through Thursday congressman. I think all the California delegation, both Republican and Democrat, come home every Thursday night and they go back every Tuesday morning. That's 3 days a week. You cannot get a dialogue with your fellow congressional delegates unless you're there, and I will pledge that I will not come back more than once, maybe twice a month at the most. I apologize for taking so much time.
Greg Conlon, thank you so much. Thank you for all that you do, and good luck in your candidacy. Thank you so much for watching Issues Today. We bring you Issues Today because there's truly got to be a better way. I'm Frank Jewett with Tom Buckles. We'll see you next week. Thanks for watching. Good night.
Good night, and thank you again.
I didn't finish very well, but I guess...